Should you put your house into a trust? The truth revealed. I know a lot of my viewers are still undecided if they should put their house into a trust or not, and in this video we're going to break down what are the different types of trusts, why trusts are important, who needs a trust, why use a trust, how much is this going to cost you, and who does not need a trust. If you don't need a trust, what do you actually need? So if you want to get 100% clarity for your situation on whether a trust is for you or not, all your questions are going to be answered in this video. Hi, I'm Matthew Tramp, and I help Minnesota families protect their assets and legacies through proper estate planning. Let's start with this. What are the different types of trusts out there? Well, there's three major types of trusts that we commonly use here in Minnesota: revocable trusts, irrevocable trusts, and testamentary trusts. The simplest trust structure is the revocable living trust. With this trust, you maintain complete control over your assets during your lifetime. You can change or revoke this trust anytime. And this type of trust does avoid probate, but it does not protect you against creditors or estate taxes to a certain extent. In Minnesota, a revocable trust can double a married couple's estate tax exemption, so keep that in mind. But it is the most common type of trust here in Minnesota. The next major type of trust is the irrevocable trust. Once established, you cannot easily change or revoke this type of trust. While this means giving up some control, it does offer significant benefits in the form of asset protection from creditors, potential tax advantages when it comes to the estate tax, and in some cases, if structured correctly, medical assistance planning benefits. These can be extremely valuable for protecting your home and other assets, which is a major concern for many Minnesotans as they get older. The final category is a testamentary trust, which is created only through your will and does not actually take effect until you pass away. While these are very commonly used, the benefits only start after death, and therefore they are not going to help you avoid probate, which can obviously be a particularly lengthy and expensive process here in Minnesota. So for Minnesota families, a well-designed, revocable living trust with specific provisions can offer tremendous protection while maintaining flexibility during your lifetime. Now let's talk about why trusts are so important. The importance of trusts cannot be overstated. Trusts do one thing very, very well. They protect your assets, and this keeps them in your bloodline. We all know how hard it is to earn a living and build up any wealth at all, or even to pay off a mortgage, and it's an absolute nightmare for families when this largest asset of theirs, their home, is lost due to long-term care costs, divorces, litigation, or other problems in the estate plan. Knowing that 20 or 30 years of hard work is going to be lost is a very distressing moment for most parents. Just last week, I had a consultation with a 50-year-old single mother in St. Paul who wanted to put her home in trust for her daughter. In our chat, it turns out that her father had only done a basic will and no further planning, and over the last 3 years, she and her sister had watched as hundreds of thousands of dollars had vanished from his estate to pay for his nursing home care. The lady I spoke with was bittersweet, as the next month her father's estate would be down to that $3,000 medical assistance limit, and with certainly a tone of bitterness in her voice, she had said the state can finally start to pay. You see, her father contributed into the system his entire life, and because he didn't set up a trust years earlier, his two daughters will not receive any inheritance, which is why she was talking with me about putting her own home into a trust and what protections she could establish for her daughter. So, who needs a trust? Well, if you're a homeowner or you own an investment property, you should probably put those properties into a trust. The type of trust, though, that you need does boil down to the type of goals that you're trying to achieve. If you are single and your estate is worth less than the federal estate tax exemption, and you don't have to worry about any federal estate taxes, you might choose a particular type of trust. However, in Minnesota, it's important to remember that the state estate tax threshold is currently much, much lower at only $3 million. And so regardless of taxes, everyone, I think, has in the back of their mind as they get older the idea that long-term care costs could be hanging over their head. So with the proper planning, long-term care costs can be minimized as it would relate to assets that you want to pass along, like a house. when the estate is above the Minnesota estate tax threshold, that's definitely a time where you're going to be needing a trust for just that reason alone, let alone all the other things we've talked about. If you set up a trust in the right way there, you can protect assets while minimizing or even eliminating Minnesota estate taxes. And if you have a cabin on one of our 10,000 lakes or investment real estate, these can also be placed into specialized trusts for additional protection. With proper planning, these assets can be shielded from various threats while also maintaining some tax advantages. So next, why use a trust? The simplest truths are often the most self-evident. Trusts have been available in America since colonial times, and things that don't work don't last. The wealthy have been using trusts for hundreds of years. Well, over the last 30 years, the internet has made knowledge of trusts relatively commonplace. Now people can go on the internet and learn about for free what the wealthy have been doing for centuries. So the takeaway here is that if you can't beat them, would it be a bad idea to join them if there's a way to do that? Well, that does bring us to the question, how much is this going to cost? And this is a question that I obviously get every day, and most estate plannings won't tell you their prices until you're sitting in their office and maybe you've already made an investment. But I believe you deserve to know what to expect. In Minnesota, basic estate plans are typically going to start around $2,000, while comprehensive trust-based plans generally range between $3,500 and $5,000 depending on your specific needs. And of course, the complexity of their situation and the goals you're trying to achieve. Again, the benefits always outweigh the costs if we need to do a trust. So we won't do a trust unless the benefits that you're going to achieve outweigh that cost. And certainly, it's obviously very expensive not to set up a trust if you need one. So who does not need a trust? Well, here are some rough guidelines for people who don't need a trust. And again, everyone's situation is different, so it's best to speak with a professional estate planner for clarity on your specific situation. But if you don't own a home or significant assets, then you probably don't need a trust agreement. There could be other factors at play, such as having a very simple family situation or one beneficiary, and that may change things as well. So if your total estate is very modest, or maybe you live with your children, it's unlikely that you're going to need a trust at this time. And if you don't need a trust, what do you actually need? Because there aren't substantial assets to protect, you should probably consider just setting up a will, powers of attorney, and healthcare documents, etc. Let's be fair, money is not always the most important thing here. Families and relationships generally are to us, and being able to take care of your parents or having your kids take care of you as you age is going to be the relationship or job that you want managed properly. You're going to make sure that you have the right documents that allow those people you trust to help you, whether it's from a financial perspective, a legal perspective, or a medical perspective, if you become incapacitated. So at a bare minimum, in my opinion, everybody should have a will and powers of attorney and some healthcare documents. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you live in Minnesota and you want a trust to protect your family against estate taxes, long-term costs, creditors, divorce, litigation, or maybe you just need a will and powers of attorney and healthcare documents, click on the link below to watch our free video about how we can help you protect yourself with a solid estate plan here in Minnesota. And if you've decided that you want to set up a trust and you live in Minnesota, then click the link below on our website to schedule a complimentary consultation with us. Thanks for watching.